optimized for the
now you can go to share.
I'm not
Click on the share.
click.
No, click on the share and go to the entire screen. Click on the share. Don't worry about optimized text and images, all those things. Click on the share. Click on share.
Saying
Now, when you click on the share, then you have to, it will ask you whether you want to share the entire screen. No,
allowed to share screen. What?
You share screen, entire screen. Screen.
Yes.
You are not seeing your screen. Okay, it's coming now.
No. It's saying connecting. I mean, things
Yes.
are done. I mean, it's taking a little more time.
Sure. It is coming now. Now you can open the presentation, your presentation.
In?
Yes.
Yes. Can you see my screen?
Now it's coming slowly. Just we'll have to wait for some time. Yes, it's coming. Good.
Share. My screen is shared.
Very nice.
All right. Okay. So
Okay, just unshare it for a
29.
after that we'll do that one. I just need to present some few slides and then after that you will.
All right.
Mr. Arun, can you stop sharing from your side?
Okay, I'll do.
Thank you. Click stop share. There is an option to stop share.
Yeah, I've done it. It is taking time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
Thank
it's
you.
done?
Yeah. Yes. We'll just wait for some time, then we'll start.
Hello. Namaskar. बताइए। नहीं, हाँ, हाँ, अच्छा। हाँ, नहीं, NSY तो बहुत अच्छा है। अब इससे के बारे में मुझे बहुत पता है। हाँ, आप थोड़ा सा टाइम देंगे तो मैं और दिल्ली के कौन कौन से बेस्ट कॉलेजेस है, क्योंकि एक मेरे मित्र हैं, शाम को मेरी मीटिंग है, मैं आपको कल बता सकता हूँ। आईपी भी है, इंद्रप्रस्था भी, वो भी अच्छा है, NSYT भी अच्छा है। मैं आज शाम का पता कर कल आपको बता दूंगा, ठीक है? तो क्योंकि वो इसी फील्ड में और इंजीनियरिंग डिपार्टमेंट में। नहीं, मैं कल बताऊंगा। डोंट वरी। ओके, थैंक यू।
Okay, many of them have joined, so that we can start.
All right, no problem.
Okay. Yeah. Are you all able to see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay.
I don't know what.
Yeah, very good afternoon to all of you, and welcome to Air Quality Management lecture series. Today we are having the 67th Air Quality Management lecture, and I welcome all of you, and I also welcome Professor Arun Srivastava.
Arun.
Arun Srivastava. Just to give you some brief idea about this air quality management lecture series, this lecture series is first of its kind in India, started in October 2020. It's an important forum for young researchers, scientists, engineers, educators, and practitioners to share the latest advancement in theories and applications. Lectures includes recent developments, innovations, and use of recent technologies in the area of air quality management. It also provides a platform for collaboration with stakeholders and experts from various countries. So these are all our past speakers. So this list you can see there are already 66 air quality management lecture series speakers. Okay, so in order to strengthen our air quality management related activities, we also started Air Quality Management Association in July 2022. And the main idea of this association is to enhance understanding of the science behind air quality and promoting the knowledge of clean air and understanding the best working practices in the community. So the Air Quality Management Association addresses the issues of ambient air quality, indoor air quality, health risk, technological interventions, and policy formulations. So this also provides a common forum to interact with one another for mutual benefits. So this will also facilitate young professionals to contribute towards advancement in the field of air quality management. And as you all aware of it, we started air quality management conference. We call it, which was called as Indian International Conference on Air Quality Management, which focuses on measurement, modeling, health risk, and public policy. This year, we are celebrating the 11th Indian International Conference on Air Quality Management. This will be happens at IIT Madras, and the dates are 14th to 18th December 2026. So more details are available in this website. Now uh, I welcome Arun Srivastava. He's professor at School of Environmental Science, Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. Ms. Chaitra will going to introduce Arun Srivastava.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. Dr. Arun Srivastava is an associate professor at the School of Environmental Sciences, Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. He holds an MSc in Applied Geology from the University of Allahabad and an MPhil and PhD in Environmental Science from JNU. Dr. Srivastava has had an exceptional postdoctoral journey, having trained at some of the most prestigious institutions: the Center for Atmospheric Sciences at IIT Delhi, the Weizmann Institute of Science in Israel, the Institute for Methodologies in Environmental Analysis in Italy, and the School of Environmental Sciences, JNU. His research focuses on the chemistry and microphysics of size-segregated aerosols, indoor air pollution, bioaerosols, source apportionment of urban aerosols, and the health and climate impacts of air pollution. He has published extensively in reputed peer-reviewed journals and has successfully led major research projects funded by UGC and DST. He is also an active member of the Indian Aerosol Science and Technology Association and the Air and Waste Management Association. In today's talk, Dr. Srivastava will take us through the wide-ranging dynamics of air pollution and its associated health risks, from global scale perspectives down to localized micro-level exposure assessments, offering insights that are both scientifically rich and deeply relevant to our times. We welcome you for the 67th Air Quality Management Lecture Series, sir.
Yeah, thank you. And Professor Arun Srivastava is a professor at School of Environmental Science and Sciences in Jawaharlal Nehru University. I welcome you, Professor Arun Srivastava.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor, and for giving this opportunity to speak before the August gathering. So, should I share? Sharing
Yeah,
my screen?
you can start sharing now.
Okay. It's taking some time. I think it's connecting, but I think it will share very soon. Is it visible? Is my screen visible?
Yes, it's visible. Go to presentation mode.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
All right. So, thank you and good afternoon, everyone. I'll be speaking on air pollution and health. And in fact, I have divided my presentation into three different parts. As Professor Shiv Nagendra said that I work in the School of Environmental Sciences as a professor, and my main field of work is different aspects of air pollution. And of late, I have started working on the impacts of air pollution and health, how it affects our health, different organs, different vital organs. So in this presentation, I have divided my this presentation into three different parts. One, I'll give a brief outline about the air pollution and how does it affects the various part of our of human body. And in the second part, I'll be speaking that what work so far we have done, I mean, my group have done, pertaining to air pollution and health impacts. And in the later, the final part, I'll speak on what work we are actually carrying out presently. So let us start with air pollution impact. Air pollution actually impacts on major three sectors: health, environment, and economy. Air pollution can exist in more or less all the phases or states. It can exist in solid, liquid, gas, multiphase. If I say multiphase, it means liquid over solid, gas over liquid, or biogenic over solid or liquid. Just see this slide. You will find that's very interesting slide, in fact. I have collected data that how the different air pollutants match with the letter of alphabet. I must tell you before I go into the details of this that there are tens of thousands of air pollutants that presently exist. Some are emerging air pollutants. I mean, they are upcoming maybe in few days or few weeks. Some more air pollutants will be added into our data bank. So if we compare it with the different letters of alphabet, we'll find that more or less all the letters of alphabet correspond to some or either one or more type of different air pollutants. So just see here, A acetaldehyde, B benzene, C carbon monoxide, etc., up to X. I mean, there are few letters, two or three letters, which doesn't correspond to any air pollutant. Some facts I must tell you people about air pollution. 99% of the world's population is living in places where WHO's, I mean, one of the regulatory bodies of air quality world over. So, living in places where WHO's air quality guidelines are not met. Less than 1% of global land area has safe air pollution level. Only 7 countries in the world meet WHO air quality standards, and this data pertains to 2023. None of the world's 100 biggest cities are able to meet WHO's updated guideline. I'll tell you about the guidelines of WHO as well as the India's nodal agency CPCB later. So air pollution has nearly 3 trillion US dollars economic cost, which is approximately 3.3% of the world's GDP. Particulate pollution, it is not, I mean, there's not only sad stories, there are some good stories also. Particulate pollution in China has dropped by 29% in the last 6 years. So there are success stories too. And continuing to some facts about air pollution, in 2021, air pollution was ranked as the second most biggest killer after the blood pressure. 8.1 million premature deaths occurred due to air pollution. Out of 2.1 million are there in India. Out of those 8.1 million, 2.1 million are India, and 2.3 million are there in China. So roughly more than half of these deaths occurred in India and China together. 9 out of 10 deaths attributed to outdoor air pollution are in low and middle income countries. Around 9 million people die every year because of the air pollution. Worldwide, ambient air pollution is estimated to cause about 29% of the lung cancer deaths, 43% of the chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or shortly which is called as COPD deaths, 25% of the ischemic heart diseases, 24% of the stroke deaths, and about 26% of the respiratory infection deaths. Out of top 50 most polluted cities in the world, 42 are there in India presently. Out of top 100 most polluted cities in the world, 83 are there in India. Out of, for the last 6 years, or perhaps now it's more, for the last 7 or 8 years, Delhi has been the most polluted city or the capital in the world. And if you see, if you try to estimate where does air pollution impact our health, So you won't find any organ or any place in body where it actually doesn't impact. So the impact of air pollution starts from the top of your body, that includes hair and brain, and all the way it goes to the skin or the lowest vital or non-vital organs of your body. Here you see that air pollution is responsible for hair damage, brain damage, eye, nervous system, respiratory, liver, spleen, skin, cardiovascular, bone, intestine, and the reproductive system too. So more or less all the vital, non-vital organs can be severely impacted by the air pollutants. And if we be little particular about the different organs, we'll find that air pollution and hair loss has very good links. People living in areas with high air pollution have more hair falls. Fine particles can reach the pores of your hair and affect them. Air pollution lead to hair dryness, flakiness, and scalp, weakening of hair follicle, which ultimately leads to the hair fall. Air pollution has also direct linkage with the brain. Two major diseases related to the brain like Alzheimer and Parkinson's are directly, there are various researches and outcomes that have shown that Alzheimer's and Parkinson's diseases are directly linked to the air pollution. Air pollution exposure increase risk of cognitive decline and neurodegenerative conditions, that is, which includes Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. Poor air quality both indoors and outdoors profoundly impacts our mental health, increasing risk of anxiety and depression. Air pollution also impacts severely on eye, and there are different diseases, different eye issues which can be attributed to the air pollution, like dry eye syndrome, watery eyes, blurred vision, blurring sensation, glaucoma, cornea damage, and retinal vessel narrowing. I think some of you must have heard about dry eye syndrome. I mean, there was a very famous film that was Rudali, some of you must have seen. And the concept was that those who live in the desert area, because of the lack of water, people can't shed tears. I mean, the eyes are such that it becomes very difficult to shed the tears because of the lack of water. But this is actually not the fact. This is not due to the lack of water. This is mainly because of the particulate pollutants, which actually reacts or actually covers the gland which are responsible for the shedding of the tears. And that problem or that issue is known as dry eye syndrome. Initially, this dry eye syndrome was the specialty of desert region because of the high loading of the particulate matter in the atmosphere. But nowadays, the same situation is occurring in Delhi type of cities because of the abundance of fine particulate matters. Air pollution is also severely linked with the cardiovascular diseases, heart related diseases. It has been shown that air pollution can exacerbate existing cardiovascular diseases and contribute to the development of the disease. Fine particulate matters, especially 2.5 or lesser, and increase the risk of cardiovascular events. Exposure to increased concentration of PM 2.5 over a few hours to weeks can trigger cardiovascular disease related heart attacks, and death also decreases in life expectancy. Cardiovascular related heart attacks and deaths, and it also decreases the life expectancy. Air pollution is also very significantly linked with the respiratory issues. Studies have found that there are many respiratory related diseases which can be directly linked with the air pollution, like respiratory symptoms including cough, phlegm, and wheezes, acute reversible decrement in pulmonary function, inflammation of the airways and lungs. This is acute and neutrophilic, by the way. Bronchial hyperreactivity, acute phase reaction, respiratory infections, decreased lung functioning, growth in children, chronic loss of pulmonary functions in adults, asthma development, and premature mortality in people with chronic lung diseases. Air pollution is also linked with the liver. I mean, we must have heard about alcoholic fatty liver diseases, but there is one liver-related issue that's called as non-alcoholic fatty liver diseases, which is NAFLD, that is directly linked with the air pollution. Apart from that, liver toxicity, liver inflammation, steatosis, and cirrhosis. These can also be attributed to the air pollution issues. Air pollution has also significant or direct links with the skin issues, and there are many skin related issues or diseases which are attributed to the air pollution, like atopic dermatitis. Air pollution can trigger or worsen flare-ups of this inflammatory skin disease. Psoriasis, air pollution can trigger flare-ups of this chronic autoimmune condition that causes raised red patches with white scales. One of the major and very common issue of skin. Air pollution can increase the number of breakouts, skin aging. Air pollution can contribute to extrinsic skin aging such as wrinkles and pigmented spots. Eczema. Exposure to ozone has been linked to eczema and other non-specific eruptions. Contact dermatitis, exposure to ozone has been linked to contact dermatitis, skin cancers. Air pollution can increase the risk of skin cancer like melanoma, basal cell carcinoma, and squamous cell carcinoma. Air pollution has also issues with the kidneys, spleen, and intestine. Epidemiological studies have found that PM 2.5 exposure is related to gastric cancers and chronic kidney diseases. Toxicology studies have shown that PM 2.5 can damage the kidney, spleen, and intestine. Air pollution has also links to the nervous system. It affects the central nervous system. It can raise brain stroke, Alzheimer's diseases, Parkinson's diseases, and neurodevelopmental disorders. Air pollution has also links with the bone issues, bone mineral density. Air pollution can reduce the bone mineral density. Black carbon is associated with increased bone mineral density over 80. Osteoporosis. Can this background noise be stopped, please?
ಸಿಟಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಡೇಟಾ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ದಿನ ಪ್ರತಿ ದಿನದ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ ಆಲ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಬೇಕಾ ಆಲ್
I mean, someone is speaking. Excuse me.
Give me a minute. We were just muting that person. Yes, go ahead now.
It's done. Now it's done. So, air pollution has issues with kidney, spleen, and intestine. Toxicological studies have shown that PM 2.5 can damage the kidney, spleen, and intestine. Air pollution in nervous system, I have already spoken. I think bone, this is also done. Yes, air pollution can also severely impact the blood. It changes or it alters the blood pressure. It also damages the blood vessels. I mean, making them narrower and harder, which can make it more difficult for the blood to flow. This can also increase the likelihood of blood clotting. Heart rhythm. Air pollution can affect the heart's electrical system, which controls the heartbeat and causes abnormal heart rhythm. Blood disorder. Air pollution can cause blood disorders such as anemia, leukemia. For example, children and elderly exposed to PM 2.5 for 2 to 5 years have been found to have anemia. Young children born to mothers exposed to air pollution during pregnancy have also been found to have higher incidences of leukemia. Air pollution is also linked with the reproductive systems, fertility. Air pollution can reduce the fertility rates in both men and women. Pregnancy disorder. Air pollution can increase the risk of miscarriage, preterm birth, and low birth weight. Fetal health. Air pollution can also lead to fetal growth restrictions and neonatal death. Embryo development. Poor air quality in vitro fertilization laboratories can decrease the rates of fertilization, implantation, and the live birth. Hormone activity. Air pollution can interfere the hormone activity during critical periods of development. DNA damage. Air pollution can cause DNA damages. Oxidative stress. Air pollution can induce oxidative stresses. Endocrine dysfunction. Air pollution can lead to endocrine dysfunctions too. Accumulation in reproductive organs. Fine particulate matters, which is roughly PM2.5, can accumulate in reproductive organs through the blood-testis barrier, placental barrier, and other barriers. Okay, so these were how air pollution impacts on different vital or non-vital organs of our body. Now I'll show you some of the works that have been carried out in my laboratory or by my group. Before I go into those details, I must tell you this. I just see the picture. Here I have actually compared or just tried to visualize how PM10 or PM2.5 look like. Here the red dots or red circles represent the PM2.5 and the blue are PM10. And the longer one, actually it is the human hair, magnified human hair. So just you see here that if you can see my cursor is not working. So you see a human hair can roughly accumulate around 10 or 15 PM10, and 1 PM10 can accommodate around 4 PM2.5 diametrically. So now as you can see, you can imagine how fine or how small the PM2.5 or PM10 can be. And recently there was a study and it has found that around 464 kids die due to air pollution every day in India. Almost 500 kids die every day in India because of air pollution. 15% of deaths in Delhi is caused due to air pollution. It was also reported very recently by one of the leading papers in India, that is Times of India. So some of the works that we have or our group have carried out. So in one of the works, we to understand the impact of PAHs, that is also one kind of air pollutant, how it actually affects the health, human health. In that we have found that incremental lifetime cancer risk, that is called as ILCR, in terms of inhalation exposure. There are different kinds of exposure: inhalation, ingestion, as well as the dermal or the contact exposure. But here air pollution really actually pertains to the inhalation exposure. So here we have found that incremental lifetime cancer risk of benzopyrene, one of the types of pHs, equivalent concentration were investigation for the toxicity as the assessment of pH, and it was found that priority pHs having inhalation unit risk were used for the investigation. Actually, ILCR associated with the children's and adults. Benzoapyrene, out of all those pHs, benzoapyrene possessed the maximum ILCR of all pHs. There are 16 generally assessed 16 pHs, and out of them we found that benzoapyrene, which is commonly found as an air pollutant, especially heavy traffic areas, possess the maximum ILCR risk. In another work where we estimated the risk factor of elements and pHs in size-segregated particles in the National Capital Region of India, and we found that chronic health risk assessment was observed for elements and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, and we found that the observed hazard quotient of an individual species was less than unity. But if it is less than unity, it means things are okay. But the hazard index of the species, each species, was found to be greater than unity. I mean, altogether were not that much impactful, but each has the hazard index more than 1. So, I mean, it was the significant or critical result. In another work that was carried out during the corona lockdown, and just because the things were very good those days, air pollution was very, very less, very low, all-time low, rather I can say, and the entire world was suffering because of the COVID-19 or coronavirus. So I tried to understand using this different manuscripts or different papers. I published one uh, review article, and some of the major finding of the paper of that manuscript was that we found that increase in particulate matter concentration causes more COVID-19 cases and mortality. Gaseous pollutants and COVID-19 cases were positively correlated. I mean, higher the gaseous pollutant, higher the COVID-19 cases. Air quality tremendously improved during lockdown. A significant reduction in PM10, PM2.5, black carbon, NOx, SO2, CO, and VOCs concentrations were observed. Lockdown had a healing effect on ozone. Significant increase in its concentration was observed. I mean, ozone layer or ozone concentration in stratosphere was significantly healed up, significantly increased. Aerosol optical depth, one of the parameters to understand the particulate matter concentration, was found to decrease down by about 50%. Almost there was an effect of twofold. So in another work which we worked on firecrackers in Delhi during Diwali season, and we found that burning of crackers and sparkles are a strong source of metals, organic carbons, elemental carbons, and particulate matter pollution, and that firecracker burning adversely affects the ambient air quality. Moreover, the release of certain toxic elements and gases such as aluminum, barium, strontium, chlorine have particular negative health effects and on people, especially on people, those who are suffering with respiratory issues. In another work, we estimated the BTEX, I mean, this kind of VOCs, volatile organic compounds, the 4 different VOCs, that is benzene, toluene, ethyl benzene, and xylene. And the results were like this. The risk assessment of BTEX were carried out in terms of non-cancer, the hazard quotient, and cancer, the incremental lifetime cancer risk regarding the inhalation exposure. It was observed that benzene and xylene isomers possessed a higher hazard quotient, I mean non-cancer risk, than ethyl benzene and toluene at all the sites throughout of the study. Again, benzene was found with higher mean ILCR than ethyl benzene. Okay. In another work which was published in Environmental Science and Technology, we simulated the exposure of PM 2.5 can be in due course of time, and the results were like this: that simulated annual average levels of PM 2.5 exposure across the entire city were very high, and particularly severe in the winter months, around 200 micrograms per meter in November, roughly 4 times higher compared to the lowest levels in the monsoon season. Mean annual exposure ranged from 109 micrograms per meter cube to 136 micrograms per meter cube. And the interquartile range was 114 to 136. Average annual PM 2.5 population exposure to be underestimated by only 11%. So more or less 19% was the true picture. And here I must say that the PM 2.5, the Indian standard for PM 2.5, which is set by the Government of India is 40 micrograms per meter cube. And by the WHO, it is just 5 micrograms per meter cube. So we are 8 times ahead than that of WHO. And what standards we have, we were around 5 times more than our set standard normally in the winter periods. And since it was 109 to 136 mean error, I mean more than double, almost double to triple throughout. I mean, it was the background level of Indian standards, and if we compared with the WHO, it is manifold. Maybe you can say that 20 to 30 times more than that of WHO levels. In another work, Human Exposure to Particulate Matter and Their Risk Assessment over Delhi, India, we found that total hazard quotient was estimated to be 1.07 and inhalable carcinogenic risk was to be 6.68. This study found that the total dermal carcinogenic risk to be 4.61 into 10 to minus 8. Non-carcinogenic risk indicated by total hazard quotient stands slightly above the acceptable limit. That is, acceptable limit is 1, so it was slightly higher than that of 1. On the other hand, the inhalable carcinogenic risk indicated is much higher than the acceptable limit, and that was 1 into 10 to minus 6. Okay, in another work, we did the quantification of particulate bound metallic load of PHS in urban environment of Delhi, India. And we found that vehicular emissions, burning of biomass and coal were the responsible factor of PHS, different polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. Molecular diagnostic ratio, one of the parameters to understand the health impacts, also showed similar emission sources as PHS. Excess cancer risks were observed for nickel, arsenic, and lead, as arsenic had the highest inhalation carcinogenic risk. So these were the works that our group have carried out so far. And now I'll just show some of the works that we have recently carried out. In this, we try to understand. Shiv Nagendra ji, it's okay. It's up to 4:30, I think.
Yes, you can go ahead. Yes.
All right. So the work that we are presently carrying out, or in recent past we have done, in that we try to understand how lungs, I mean, here I have mentioned A549 cell. A549 cells actually are also known as epithelial pulmonary cells. These are the lung cells, and now we try to understand, we try to know how the ultrafine, I mean, exposure to these cells with ultrafine particles, what happens when these cells are exposed with the ultrafine particles. Now I'll see here. Okay, before I go into the details, I'll just give some outlines. So here, and in this particular study was carried out emphasizing the Diwali period, where I mean Delhi is already highly polluted and it becomes manifold more polluted during the Diwali season because of the firecrackers, etc. So this work was carried out during the Diwali period, and we estimated or we monitored the PM1. This particular work was pertaining to particulate matter 1, PM1 concentrations. So we estimated the PM1 level before Diwali and after Diwali as well as during Diwali. So here you'll see that the level of PM1 concentration during Diwali, I mean pre-Diwali and post-Diwali during 2019 and 2020. The green color shows, the green color bar shows the concentration of PM1 on the day of Diwali. You'll find that it is maximum in both the years 2019 and 2020. And this is back trajectory. You'll see that more or less wind pattern is also not favorable for Delhi. More or less wind is focusing or concentrating in Delhi. So, and this picture shows the accumulation of particulate matters during pre-Diwali, during Diwali, and during post-Diwali. And the very first column, you'll see that is the filters where the particulate matters are collected are blank. I mean, no particles you'll see, but pre-Diwali you'll see few particles are gathered or accumulated. On the day of Diwali, the concentration is very heavy or the load is very heavy. And post-Diwali, concentration has again been decreased a little bit. Okay, and this is IDAX value. I mean, it gives the concentration of metals, the particulate matters which have been collected on those filter papers. So the first one is a blank, which contains only carbon and oxygen, and this is nothing but the filter's background metallic concentration or elemental concentration. The second one shows the pre-Diwali metal concentration. You'll find that many different metals are also being popped up. I mean, people start celebrating Diwali even from the before Diwali days also. So some of the metals are being accumulated in the atmosphere. You'll find that pre-Diwali has some good number of metallic concentration in the atmosphere. And on the day of Diwali, you'll find that this concentration or the number of different metals have significantly been increased, and it has again been decreased on post-Diwali. Okay. Now coming to the exposure of those A549 cells, that how actually toxicity, how its response to the toxic impact of particulate matters. So here you'll see that this shows the PM concentration that was given to those cells and how the viability actually represents the formation or its division, its growth, how the viability is actually being decreased. So we'll see the red one or the maroon one, the very first one, is the untreated. I mean, those cells were not exposed with any kind of PM1, and the cell viability is 100%, and the cell growth or cell division is up to 100% when it is exposed with a PM1 concentration of 25 microgram per ml. Then you will see very slight decrease is occurring. Very slight decrease in the cell viability is occurring. When we increase the concentration to 50 microgram per ml, a significant decrease in the cell viability has happened. Now it is below 80% level. When it is increased to 100 microgram per ml, then it is around 60 or slightly more than 60. 35% of the cells have died or the viability is decreased. Again, when further increased it up to 150 microgram per ml, then the cell viability has been lowered to 50% or more than 50%. I mean, 50% of the cells are now not functioning. And here it shows the deaths of the cells. I mean, untreated, the death is 1% or roughly negligible. With further increases, 25 microgram per ml, then it is 25% death, 50, 29%, 100 microgram per ml, it is 45% death, and with 150 microgram per ml, almost 70% of the cells, the A549 cells died. So this is ROS assays. I mean, formation of reactive oxygen species. You must have heard about reactive oxygen. This is one of the major issue or major problems in the human body when one is exposed with the air pollutants. You will see that this actually is measured in the terms or units of fold change. You will see that when PM1 concentration was untreated, I mean no PM1 exposure was done, then the reactive oxygen was very, very less, roughly 1-fold change. And as we increased it to 25, a slight increase occurred, but with 50% microgram per ml, there is a good 1.5 fold change. With 100, it is two-fold changes, and with 150 microgram, the reactive oxygen assay was around three-fold change. 3 times of the changes have occurred in the reactive oxygen species formation or building up in the A549 cells. And these studies were done after the 24 hour of the exposure. Here you will see the same treated cells were monitored or were visualized with the help of fluorescence microscopy, and you will see that untreated very less or negligible reactive oxygen. But in the last one, you see as we further move with the increased concentration of PM1, the number of reactive oxygens are significantly increasing. In 150 microgram per ml, the number, so much concentration of reactive oxygen has occurred. And one more thing, we also try to understand that once the particulate matters, the cells A4549 cells are exposed with the PM1 concentration, can they be washed off? Can they be, their particulate matters which are stuck to those cells, can they be removed by washing, etc.? And we did it with different level of exposure concentration, and we found that with less amount of exposure, with less PM1 exposure, which is roughly PM2 which is 25 microgram per ml, the cells were comparatively easily washed out. Though their sticking property was less towards the, or you can say, the adherence property of those cells with the particles were less. But as we increased the concentration from 25 to 50, further to 100 and to 150, we found that they started adhering more and more. The sticking property increased significantly. They were not being washed off totally or in absolute terms. Still, after 3 or 4 washes, the particles were kept sticking with those cells. This work has already been published in one of the journals, that is Toxicology and Environmental Health Sciences. Okay, so I think we have some more time, 10 minutes or so, and I'll just quickly go through this. And now as I'll show that how the particulate matters affect, the work that we have carried out actually, how the particulate matters affect the vital organs. Here, we try to understand the C-reactive protein. This is one of the marker of stress. If someone's body is being stressed because of air pollution or high level of air pollution exposure, then the C-reactive proteins concentration zoom ups. It increases. So here is C, and these studies were done with the mice, and we had control, low dose and high dose. And if you see this picture, you see A and B. A was for short term, B was for long term, and these short term and long term were further divided into control with low dose exposure and high dose exposure. So we saw that with short term exposure, high dose, in case of high dose, significant amount of C-reactive protein were generated. And in case of long-term exposure, the with high dose and with low dose, C-reactive proteins were almost equal and slightly more than that of control one. So you can see, one can say that short-term exposure is comparatively more harmful to than that of long-term as far as C-reactive protein is concerned. We also tried to understand or try to estimate the different blood parameters of those mice which were exposed with the different parameters like cholesterol, triglyceride, HDL cholesterol, LDL cholesterol, VLDL, etc. And we found that cholesterol is changing, cholesterol triglyceride is changing, as well as LDL cholesterol is changing in case of short-term exposure with different doses, I mean low and high doses, and more or less the same was there for cholesterol and triglyceride in case of long-term deployment. But it was not the case with HDL, LDL, VLDL, and CHDL in more or less for the conditions like short-term exposure and long-term exposure. Again, kidney function test did not reveal much in case of short-term and long-term. Here, this after exposure, we actually dissected the lungs and brains of those mice, and we try to understand, try to estimate how it is actually affecting the lungs and brains. So this picture is of lungs of this picture is of lung of the mice. You will see that in case of control, I mean, if you go to the 40x, you'll find the alveolar region or alveolar sacs are intact. They are good. I mean, still spaces are there for the breathing up or for the inhalation of oxygen. But with the low term, with the low dose and high dose, these alveolar sacs are collapsing. They are getting actually, I mean, they are getting blocked up with the PM1 exposure. You will see, actually, I'm not able to use my cursor here. You will just see from top to bottom, 40x, just focus on 40x. You will see at the top one, which is control, alveolar sacs are intact, okay and good. But low dose, it is collapsing. I mean, the alveolar sacs are decreased. With high dose, again, it is further decreased, significantly decreased. And the previous, this one was for the short-term exposure, and this is for the long-term exposure. More or less the same kind of results we have found, that in case of control or no exposure, alveolar sacs are okay, but the alveolar sacs are collapsing or decreasing with increase of doses. More or less the same thing we did with the brain, and we collected the brain tissues also. And here we tried to understand how the PM1 is actually affecting the brain tissues. And now I see that some black heads you will find, I mean, I don't know whether you can clearly see it from there or not. So if you see the control one, the black spots are less, but in case of low dose and high dose in both short term and long term, the black spots are significantly increased. It means that the cells are actually dying. The cells are getting dead, and that actually ultimately lead to the Parkinson or cognitive decline. And this actually happens in hippocampal region. The tissues that we had collected of brain was from the hippocampal region, which is actually for the cognition or the cognitive, I mean, you can say the cognitive region where the memory, etc., etc., is there. So this is again, this was for the long-term exposure, more or less the same kind of results we have found. And this is immunohisto CD45. So CD45 is actually a kind of marker which is released, a protein which is released, it's an expressive protein which shows that if someone is high level of stress because of the air pollution or any, I mean bodily disorder. So we have found that this CD45 has significantly increased in both long-term and short-term exposure from control to low to high. So I'll just skip this. Okay, so these were the works that we are presently into or presently working, and these are the people who actually helped us I mean, these were the people who were mainly involved into this work, and my deep acknowledgements to this. And the initial part that I showed you, and the data or the information that I have gathered, that is mainly from the Health Effect Institution and the World Health Organization. So thank you very much. I think I have completed my talk. And if any one of you have any suggestion, can please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Arun, for an excellent talk. Before we take up some questions, I request everyone to start their camera. We'll have an online picture, and then we'll discuss the question answers. And those who have any questions, could use the chat box to type your questions.
You can also ask the question, Dr. Isn't it?
Yes, you can always.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we'll just start that one. We'll take one picture quickly. Maybe Professor Arun, you can stop sharing it.
थोड़ी देर में आइए.
Okay, so could you please, all of you, start your camera? Then, okay, one of you can. The team, can you take the picture? Chaitra or Priya or Mekala, can you just take the picture?
I think they are making a video instead of picture.
It is done?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, Arun, excellent talk. I just wanted to start the discussion because since you are staying in Delhi and experiencing the air pollutions, I'm just trying to look at it from the air quality characteristics point of view. Although particulate pollutant concentration looks more or less same to me for over the years, but I'm trying to look at its composition point of view. Have you noticed any significant changes? Maybe 2-3 decades back, these are the elemental compositions that are significant. Now, some new compounds are coming up. And the second thing, which you already started mentioning about reactive, oxygen potential components. So, are such compounds became more increasing their concentrations in the ambient particulates? Can you comment on this?
Yes, I haven't seen from a comparison point of view. Actually, even in my PhD work, I did the metal analysis of different parties. I did the size segregation and as well as metal analysis. And presently also people are doing it. But nowadays, mainly people are focusing on the organic pollutants, whether it is pHs, VOCs, less on metal concentration, because so much work. But you have raised a good point. Works are there in the form of published and form of data, and we try to find out. Yes, for the last, because I was doing my work way back in 90s, late 90s. You can say now it is around 30 years, 27 or 20 years, and it will always be interesting to see if the metal concentration have significantly changed. But maybe nowadays the government's policy is that they are removing the industries. So industries are very, very less here now. I mean, their number have decreased. So the possibility of getting a new metal or significant increase in metal concentration is also less. But yes, it is true that amount of black carbon in due course of time has significantly changed. Now the black carbon is there, and the fugitive dust, both, they are significantly increased for the last few years. That's true.
Yeah, thank you very much. Gupta ji, you have some questions. Maybe you can ask. Go ahead.
Yes, a small observation, Dr. Professor Srivastava. Very nice lecture you gave about the health impacts of various pollutants on all components of our body. But I am very perplexed sometimes, Sir Doctor, that we environmental scientists and specialists, we talk about the health impacts and medical practitioners are quiet about it. So I think what we are only trying to do is only echoing the views expressed by the medical specialists. We haven't done any health impact study ourselves. We have only got the data from some health specialists here and there, and we are only trying to echoing them. But because what I feel sometimes, doctor, just one more observation I will convey that Delhi has got many CQMS installed. And in fact, I was operating many of those CQMS for several years. And also I was operating several CQMS across the country also. And I noticed that people living around those CQMS, no survey was done about their health status or on the sort of critically on then their health impacts due to exposure of various pollutants. Because in some of the stations, I observed that few values were ranging from 10 to 30 milligram per meter cube for consistently for several days. And these are very lethal values. Whereas our standard is only 4 milligram per meter cube. So why these people did not suffer? What happened? Why there was no impact on them? Similarly, for ozone and methane, people were exposed to very high concentration of these two pollutants. But there were no survey or no report published anywhere that what happened to the exposure, what happened to the people health of these people who were living under this exposure. So sometimes I wonder either our values need to be revisited because either they are really just values are safe or over safe. What actually is the situation? I think there is a lot of I think hype is created that because of this you will die and so many deaths are taking place. Is it really happening? So I just wanted to get some more insight into this. So this was my observations, Doctor. If you can comment on them, it would be nice.
We immune and in my presentation, then WHO's standard for PM 2.5 is just 5 micrograms per meter cube. And India's standard, that is ICP-CP, is 40 micrograms per meter. 8 times ahead of that. 8 times already. And the minimum level, they are already 8 times more. And unfortunately, presently I'm talking about India and more or less the same situation there across the northern India. So in my study also, and suppose someone might think that studies could be biased or may not be absolutely error-free, but the continuous monitoring status by state-of-the-art instruments by various governmental and non-governmental agencies across Delhi, they also reveal that air quality index here is more or less always more than 100, more than 100. And incidentally, if you analyze the air quality index, you'll find, I think Nagendra is also, I'm an expert in this field, he may also comment on this, that air quality index of Delhi, which is mostly in severe zone or unhealthy zone, is mainly because of the PM 2.5 or PM 10. The other parameters, other A parameters like ozone, NOx, methane, etc., more or less all of them are within the limit. But on index which regularly increases or which goes beyond the limit is mainly because of PM 2.5 and PM 10s. Thus, we can say that in Delhi, the major or the biggest culprit is PM 10. I said that the Delhi's India's standard for PM 2.5 is 40, 8 times more than WHO, and even that 4 is not met. It is roughly, you can say, background level of Delhi's PM 2.5 is more than 100. 2 to 3 times. It is background level. It is the persistent level. So if you compare with the 5 microgram of WHO, it is more than 20 to 30 times. We are fortunate or God's grace, but all the time I have also found that people are suffering. I mean, the cases of heart attacks, cases of lung diseases, whether chronic, acute, short term or long term,
Sir, but there is
or
no,
other respiratory issues.
but sir, there is no
Yes,
report for people who are living
that's
along
why I'm saying
CQMS.
I'm coming to that point because I'm into it. I continuously work on this. And yes, you can't. These deaths or these issues can be attributed to the air pollution, particularly the PM or particulate matters, you know. But when you were being approached to the agency in Delhi or in any of the hospitals, whether it's a private hospital, whether it's a government hospital, I'm just talking about the EMS, they do not keep data or you won't get any information about the different types of deaths, whether it is lungs related deaths, heart related deaths, respiratory related deaths, or etc. etc. So you can't really, it's very difficult them with the air pollution. How many? But in foreign countries, people are aware, even the hospitals keep a good record, keep a good track, and they do researches and their findings. And finally, they have correlated because in the presentation I have presently, air pollution is the second most biggest killer after the heart attack, after the blood pressure, rather we can say. So unfortunately, we do not have much data and things are not very supportive. The hospitals are not also very, very aware or what you can say, much into it to keep the data, to keep the track. And that is why these problems are there. But in general, the research is very researches, simulated informations, and the real world information. It has been proved that air pollution causing major damage to the health, human health.
But sir,
Also, although I worked on mice, different mice, and I just showed the tissues of brain and lungs, things are worst actually. PM1 affects the brain as well as lungs. But I
sir,
haven't done with humans.
but sir, this
That's-
means that we are only echoing the Western opinion about the health impacts. We do not have our own data.
I did in my lab. I did not do it with the humans because I can't do it. I did it with the mouse. And I found that results were alarming. Those mice were actually born in very septic, very clean environment, and we exposed. I mean, the mice were not exposed with some kind of background level of particulate matters. Everything was done afterwards, and the impact was observed. It was found that particulate matters, especially PM1, was impacting the lung tissues as well as the brain tissues.
It is now almost now more
Okay,
than
I
20
think,
years. Just a small observation, sir.
Sure.
It's now almost 20 years we are saying the same thing again and again, that we do not have the reliable data of our
Sir,
own
many
country.
things are not there. Many things are not there in our hand. We are just the researchers. We do research. Can't do anything with the policy.
I agree, sir. I fully agree with you. But I was only worried that why medical specialists are not coming forward to convey this
I
impact.
don't know
Why environmental
where
scientists
you
only
live,
are
sir.
coming to convey this.
Do you live in Delhi or
Yeah, Gupta ji,
outside?
I live in Delhi, sir. I live in Delhi.
Arun ji,
So
Gupta
please,
ji,
I'll advise you to once visit EMS, sir. EMS के एक बार आप pulmonary department में चले जाएं.
जी.
See the situation there, especially in the winter months.
But that is all not due to air pollution only. Na? Those patients are not because of the air pollution. They are suffering because of the several other diseases.
yeah. Gupta ji, I do agree with you. I think what Arun ji is also saying. I mean, I completely agree with that because there are data needs to be updated, and so I think there are many cohort studies have been planned with ICMR has been working with supporting many research grants to understand the cohort studies to exposure to the various pollutants related. And also now we have so much advancement with model simulation. There are a lot of work is also happening to understand the impacts of different air pollutants to that how it is affecting on the human body function. So I mean now it is we are leveraging the technology and also the data from the outside. I think Arunji has nicely said, some of the research findings are very limited from the database point of view. You cannot generalize that one, but it is
No,
also
sir. My only worry sometimes is that when we say that exposure to greater than 4 mg per meter cube of CO is very lethal, and if you are exposed to 7-8 hours, you are almost going to die. And we have observed that in some of the CAQMS values in Delhi, the values were between 10 to 30 milligram per meter cube, and people have not died. So what is this value showing?
no. I mean, just to get you some, I think it's basically
No, no. Can I?
no. I mean, just to
No, no. Can I?
yes, go ahead, Arunji.
You talk about CO, sir, Gupta ji?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So, and you said that it is 7 microgram per meter cube. But you know, CO's effect becomes significant when the oxygen is very, very limited or reduced. You know, if the oxygen supply is ample and CO is also there, so our bodies or human physiology is such that our body the CO rather than the oxygen. But somehow, if oxygen is decreased, oxygen concentration is decreased, and CO concentration is increased, then the possibility is that now we will be forced to inhale CO in place of oxygen. But if they are both together, so I think if you are in medical field or if someone is in medical field, he may better know it, better understand it. If both are there in ample amount, so our lung or this hemoglobin's greater affinity is towards oxygen, not carbon monoxide. If it is in limited amount, oxygen is in limited amount, then there is affinity towards the carbon monoxide. And then only this hemoglobin's formation of carboxy hemoglobin starts when the oxygen amount is limited or less. Otherwise, no. Whatever the level of CO is increased, I mean, up to certain level. I think you have got my.
Yes, I
think
got
your
it.
answer.
Thank you very much. But we are all talking of the ambient air, and the oxygen does not change in the
That's true. But if oxygen is reduced, then the chances are there that the person will die. Person will definitely die because of that same amount of carbon monoxide.
Thank you, Doctor, for your clarification. Thank you so much. Over to you, Professor Shiva.
Yeah, thank you, Gupta ji. Any questions from? I'm not seeing any questions from the chat box. Anybody would like to any clarifications? Any questions? Yeah, I think if my last one question now, the reactive oxygen species is now it is getting more and more importance in the air quality research. So, what's your comment on that? Whether these kind of species will be more dominated in the northern side where industrial emissions will be significant, or traffic related emissions?
Which species?
I'm talking about the reactive species, now which reduces oxygen consumption. ROAs.
That reactive is oxygen stress you are talking about.
Correct.
Yeah, it is body's own mechanism. When external impact or external problem is there, that free radical formation, what we say, or reactive oxygen is form actually. So definitely, if any kind of pollution is there, matter, liquid, solid, gas, or whatever, metal, organic, inorganic, So the possibility of reactive oxygen formation will be developed. And it is formed. It's our body's response mechanism that it filters out up to certain level. If it is not filtered out, so the problems will start in due course.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. I have no more questions. So thank you very much, Arun Srivastava for kindly agreeing to give a talk in a short notice. And it's so nice of you. Thank you very
No
much.
problem.
I enjoyed.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Namaste.
All right, sir. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, you can log out, sir. We are closing the meeting. Hey, thank you all for joining. And if you are any of you interested to, receive air quality management lecture series or the Air Quality Management Association, please, you can send your details through email, or you can put your email in this chat box. So we will send them more details about it. Thank you very much. Bye bye.